Hey friends, welcome to the Inner Spark podcast. I'm your host, Casey Taton. If you're looking to hear stories of transformation and personal growth, this podcast is for you. My guest and I will be sharing those sparking moments that has changed them into living a more fulfilling, authentic life. I'm so excited for you to hear each unique story. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hey friend, welcome back to the Inner Spark podcast. I'm your host, Casey Taton. Today's episode is a little bit different. I often talk about what lights me up and the things I'm going through. My good friend, Jen Chambers, she is the host of the Resilient podcast. It's called Resilient with Jen Chambers, had me on as a guest, and we talked about what lit me up. And I often talk about the parties or the organization I run, and that it's a community event and the smiles we bring to the kids' faces in the hospital. But I don't know that I've ever really gone into it. So Jen is letting me share this episode where she interviewed me talking about what really lights me up and the smiles I get to bring to the kids' faces. So I hope you sit back, relax, and listen to Jen interviewing me today.
Hi, friends. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited today to introduce to you my friend, Casey Taton. And she has so many amazing qualities, but she's also the founder of Little Moments, Big Dreams Celebrations. And she is the founder of the Inner Spark podcast. I hope we get to talk about all of that stuff. But thank you so much for coming here today, Casey.
Thanks for having me.
I thought maybe you could tell everyone a little bit about Little Moments, Big Dreams, and then we'll talk about your podcast.
Yeah, so I do parties for kids. I run an organization doing parties for kids in the hospital. And we have officially been doing it for like 6.5 years now. Um, and it just started with I fought my own medical battle. And being in the hospital and the feeling of what it does to you. And I spent birthdays, I spent Christmas, I spent holidays, but just, the feeling of losing out on life. And then you're stuck in this room and most of mine, so what I remember of mine was as an adult. I was actually there as a child with spinal meningitis. Um, but I was a baby, so I don't remember that like subconsciously. But I do hear my family talk about it. And so what I remember is when I got sick as an adult and it totally just stopped my world. And so when I started getting better and started healing, I traveled um, for my condition. I had to get an official diagnosis out of my state. So, and then I had my surgery in 2 other states. And so I was traveling a lot as well. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so just the feeling of being there alone and then not really having anything and just, they want you to feel good and be there, but it's such a gloomy place. And so when I started feeling better, I was like, I don't know what my purpose in life anymore is. My condition stopped my job from working in the OR to not having a job. And so I was like, what do I do now? Like, I'm healing and I don't want to lay in this bed. So I had a friend who was doing birthday parties for kids up there through a different group. And she had reached out to me and asked if I wanted to help. And I was like, well, yeah, of course. Like, I was so excited. This gave me a purpose, right? And so I went up and helped her. And I remember her telling me, hey, I'm not really getting a bunch of feedback from nurses, not really getting like very far with them. And she had a son, and she was like, do you just want to take over? And I was like, well, I mean, sure, I'll try. And so I honestly had no idea what I was gonna do, where I was gonna start, and I made a post and I started talking to the nurses, and they were like, well, sure. What else do you want to do besides birthdays? And I was like, oh, there's more? Like, yeah. And so it just kind of went from there. And so I have a great group of volunteers, and now we do all kinds of parties. We do milestone parties. We have a lot of kids here who are battling cancer, or other conditions that require long periods of treatments. And so I think it's important to celebrate the milestones along the way, as well as birthdays. For the ones who beat cancer, we do a big party for that. Um, we also do sunshine bags because there's so many kids in there that maybe they had their gallbladder taken out, maybe they broke a bone, or um, there's just all kinds of conditions. And so they've been there for a while and they need some joy. So my mission is to bring smiles not only to them, but to the parents, because we often forget what the parents are going through
Mhm.
during this time.
Mhm.
And so, a lot of times the siblings get to celebrate too. So that is fun. Um, you just get lost, and it's almost like you feel like you forgot about,
Right,
and you're just stuck in this place that's not very happy. And
right.
so, we also do holidays. We do all kinds of other fun events up there, just random events, bring like, the fire department up there, different groups like that. Paw Patrol came up there one day. And so, yeah, just stuff. We did arts and crafts for a while, and that was to give the parents a break so they could actually like send their kid down there, and then they could go get a break, go take a shower, go eat, go do something, so they're not feeling like they're leaving their kid alone, but their kid's doing something and we're with them. And so I did that pre-COVID, and then COVID hit, and of course it the parties I got to continue the parties, but the events stopped for a while. So now we are past COVID, and we still go through like RSV season, all those seasons where we can't do a lot. Um, but I still get to bring smiles to kids' faces. And so I just we're an sorry. We are an organization. So I rely on the community for all of our donations. I go out and speak to, schools, church groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. I have some women quilters that make blankets for us. Just any type of group, businesses. We have a snack cart at one of our hospitals. Um, would you all know what it's like to eat hospital food if you've been in the hospital, and
Yep.
or how much the vending machine is? And a lot of times, like when I was there, my mom wouldn't eat. She didn't want to leave the room, and then nothing looked good. But if someone were to bring her something or bring her a cart by, she would be more willing to eat a snack or something if it was there. And so we have a lot of businesses that sponsor that. We do two hospitals. We also do kids. We have a lot of kids that travel. So if they are going to travel and we know about it, we've done like yard signs, we've done like welcome home signs. I know what it was like to travel, and so like being welcome home is a really cool thing, or just getting a gift bag before you leave to know like um, and I want to make it a community event. I make it a community event, and so I want these kids to know that other kids are thinking about them and that we're all cheering them on. So yeah,
Wow. Well, first of all, the most amazing part about all of your story is that you saw a need and you filled it. You
yeah,
saw something that could really make a difference, and and now that's your life's work.
yes, it
I,
is.
I love that. I love that you didn't focus on just the hurting part. Nobody, people are going to be in the hospital, unfortunately, kids,
Right,
and but you don't have to. It doesn't have to be so bad. And I just,
right.
oh my gosh, what an amazing thing! A really impactful thing to do. And
Yes.
how did you learn to? like go up and speak to people. That probably took a lot of courage to go speak to businesses, let alone all of the families.
Um, yeah. For a person who doesn't like to talk and I get nervous anytime before I do an interview for a podcast, you think I would be more comfortable, but I think it's because when you're speaking from the heart, it's and you get to tell somebody I as an adult was in the hospital and I know what it feels like and I want to bring joy there. So when I get to say I can relate in a way, I think it makes it easier for me to tell my story and then really connect them to what's going on.
Well, I think that people respond to authenticity, and when you're speaking your truth that way, I,
Yeah.
I mean, it is hard. It's hard to it's for so many people that I speak with, it's hard to talk about their experiences, especially if you've been in the hospital or searching for a diagnosis, because there's nothing more terrifying than that. And
Yeah.
the fact that you're using it as fuel makes it so much better that you can do that.
Thanks.
Oh, I just love it. So, you said you have two hospitals right now that you work with?
Yeah, we have two hospitals here in Wichita that have kids in them.
Mhm.
I live in Kansas, so um in just our town we have two hospitals. So we do quite a few parties a week.
What's your favorite kind of party to do? Do you like the birthday parties the best or celebration ones?
Um, and I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, I
I
know they're all
do.
different, right? But
Yeah, I mean, I do love the birthday parties because I know I've gotten a lot of really good feedback on birthdays.
mhm,
It takes because when we do the parties, we do a gift bag.
mhm,
So if I try to personalize something, we do plates, napkins, banners. We try to make a personalized poster for them and get something they like, get like a craft or something, so it gives them something to do.
mhm,
And then they also get the room decorated, and we also, if they can have cake, then we get a cake. So it takes a load off of the parents.
mhm,
And it's not like my kid doesn't get to celebrate because he's in the hospital and I don't want to leave.
mhm,
And so I think it's just yeah, the power of that of doing birthdays is that their birthday isn't getting skipped. They still get to celebrate with the staff, and also it changes that connection a
mhm.
little bit
Right.
of they're not such the scary person anymore. Like they have a little fun in them. So
Oh, yeah. So, and when you really feel like you matter,
yeah,
you're more invested in, maybe having those conversations with staff members. And I'm sure that helps for the parents as well.
yeah, yeah.
I wonder, what keeps you motivated to keep doing this? Do you get a lot of good feedback?
I do. I think yeah, the power of connection and watching these kids grow because we do also like we'll set up our table at there's like a cancer event they do every year and they celebrate the kids,
Mhm,
or we'll set up our table at different events.
mhm,
And we also have a hockey team here for the cancer kids, and they get to wear like they wear the kids' names on the back of their jerseys. And so it's just seeing these kids outside of the hospital too, the ones
mhm.
that can make it,
Uh-huh,
it just lights my heart up when
uh-huh.
they see you and they know who you are. And um, yeah, it's just the power of them like running up to you. It's like it's almost like you feel like you're a celebrity when it's like, oh,
Mhm,
I just gave you a birthday, or I just brought a smile to your face on the day you were struggling. And
mhm,
so, but it's just the power. They remember who I am, and
mhm,
then they know who the families know who we are, and just the good feedback we get.
mhm,
Um, Also a little bit of a turn on it, a sad, little bit of a sad story.
mhm,
Um, I when I got into this, I never thought, which is crazy because I worked in the OR prior to getting sick.
mhm,
So I worked in the hospital from a very young age, and we all know death happens. But when I was thinking about celebrating these kids, I didn't think about any of them dying.
Well,
And so anytime I think this is not going right, or like I get frustrated or I get overwhelmed, um, I have I got to go to one of the girls' funerals. Um, the family invited me. She was actually away when she passed away, and we got to celebrate her last birthday. She was in Kansas City, and she wanted a drawing pad. And we knew that she had beat cancer and had come back, and then she was getting fighting all these other conditions, and so she loved drawing. And so um, we raised enough money to get her like an iPad.
oh,
Yeah, that's probably like one of the biggest gifts. One of my volunteers did it like as a birthday fundraiser for herself
oh,
and donated it so we could send it up there for her to be able to draw.
oh,
Um, and so we I lost two girls about the same age at in like a 2 week time frame.
oh,
And so I it kind of it makes you think. So the other mom, they are not from here. They travel, and we
mhm,
have a lot of families that travel. And when I found out her daughter passed away, she sent me this long message, and she still, every year on her daughter's birthday, she will make a post about how we celebrated her daughter's last birthday. And it's just something you take for granted because I didn't know that it was going to be her daughter's last birthday.
right,
She had reached out. It was a
oh,
Saturday, and she was like, "Hey, I'm sorry to bother you on the weekend. Do you think there's any way you could? It's my daughter's birthday. Like, I don't even know if the mom had a car here, like, so she could leave."
wow,
And I knew that she said there's her friend is coming in town to surprise her, but we don't really have anything to decorate the room. And I was like, sure, and she's like, I know it's a Saturday. I'm like, it's fine. And so I went and got them pizza and a gift and cake, and I got to take it up there and just see her daughter. And her mom talks about the smiles and the joy that she forever gets to hold in her heart
mhm,
of her daughter's 16th birthday.
oh,
Yeah. So I think that's the power that keeps it going, is knowing that a lot of us, well, you and I have talked about facing medical battles and how tomorrow is not guaranteed.
oh,
Um, but it really hits home and just keeps me motivated to keep going that um, if I can bring a smile, that's what that family needs to remember.
yeah. Working with kids is, I used to, when I was in high school, I volunteered with the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Um, and we had camps every year, or they had camps every year, and I was a counselor. And, at first you're a junior counselor, and you get to know these kids, and then you through the
Yeah.
years, and it's incredibly awful how many of them pass away.
Hmm.
But it's equally amazing that you get to be a part of their lives, even for a tiny short time.
Yeah.
And I imagine that every day must be so meaningful for you doing that job.
Yeah. It is. Um, that's really cool that you did camps too, helped out because we just don't ever think about what the power of another person can bring us, how much joy someone else can bring us.
Mhm.
And by what we think is something really small,
Right.
it really is something really big and impactful in their life.
Yeah, because it was fun for me. It wasn't like
Right.
hard,
Yeah.
but these people that I met there, I I wish they were still around today, of course, but
Yeah.
we got to have I got to have them in my life, and I'll be forever glad about that.
I
No,
think one of the coolest memories is that they also get to be a kid when they're at these things.
yeah, yeah,
So I always try to think when we do events and stuff, it's like the identity of being sick gets to go away for a little while, and they just get to be a kid and have that fun.
mhm. Because when you're sick, like everyone treats you as the sick person, and you're in the hospital, so
Yeah.
you're that much removed.
Yes.
Were you in the hospital a lot as a child? You said that you were sick when you were a baby and then again as an adult.
Yeah, so it was more when I had spinal meningitis and thankfully didn't have, I don't remember it. I was only a couple months old and was there for a while. And then, I did battle like migraines when I was in high school. But it was more when I was outside of high school. So like more in my college.
Mhm.
And then when I started my career as an adult, that's when I thought I had the best life going on. You know, you think, oh, I have this dream. I was like, I have this dream job. Like, I have friends, I have a house, like all the things that I thought I was on the right track, and then my life just stopped. And so, um, more of it that I consciously remember was as an adult. But I think I remember it's just the impact that it has on your family.
Absolutely.
Like even as so it wasn't I'm not married, and so it's still like, my mom would come up there with me. And so that pulls my mom away from like holiday events and you know and my mom's birthday is the day before mine. And so like, okay, well if I'm there on my hospital in the hospital on my birthday, that means my mom is spending, usually the day before is her birthday. We're spending our birthday in the hospital. And so yeah, I just think that it's a lot still as an adult because I de still depended on them even though I was an adult.
That's really hard. That's really hard. That's one of
Yeah.
the things that for me, I think I've told you I had this big list of things that I had to relearn how to do, and I had a big list of things that they told me I'd never be able to do, like a written down list. And being dependent on people for so many things, it's demoralizing, it's depressing, it's
This.
and you have no choice. That's the hardest part, is that you can't make yourself better. You can't, there's nothing you can do.
No. And you're grateful, but at the same
Right.
time, like you're so sick that you don't have, I feel like it doesn't get expressed enough to them, how grateful you are because at some point I also went through like an anger phase. So, I was super thankful for everything my parents were doing,
Mhm.
but I was also not probably not the most pleasant person to be around.
Yeah.
Didn't have any energy. I didn't, like I'm having to ask for everything. And we're taught at a young age that you grow up to be independent, right? You
Hmm.
start doing things, tying your shoes, like all these things, cooking for yourself, cleaning for yourself,
Hmm.
showering yourself. And when those things get taken away, um,
Hmm.
you just lose your whole self. Like, who am I?
Hmm.
What? And it's heavy.
It is, and it is hard on the family members too. You're all just there's no instruction book. You're all just okay. So how can I get through this hour, this day, this holiday, this season
Yeah,
as quickly and easily as you can?
yeah. Yes, and I think you forget to live in the moment.
Mhm.
It's something that I've learned as I've, healed more.
Mhm.
It's that I was just like, just get this through, just get over this. Let's get through on to the next thing because I want to rush everything.
Yeah.
I not even this isn't even part of my condition, but as an adult, I had my tonsils taken out.
Uh-huh.
Um, well, part of it is because of my condition, but so with my condition, I don't drink a ton of water, and so they sent me home. It's an in and outpatient surgery, and I didn't, you have to drink medicine every 2 hours. So my mom like stayed down here as an adult with me, waking me up, setting in alarms every 2 hours to get the medicine in me.
Uh-huh.
But then she would go to work during the day and I would get anxious, like, okay, now I'm alone. Now I'm scared. I have to do this by myself. And I wasn't getting enough fluid in me. And I knew that was the one thing they said is you have to stay hydrated.
Mm.
And so I actually ended up back in the hospital because I couldn't get the fluids down me, even keep
Oh,
enough. Yeah, I have a portacath, and so um, that's how I got a lot of fluids. And so, like what some people would say a simple surgery, like having your tonsils out, wasn't simple for me.
Mhm.
And then it was also, Thanksgiving was like 2 weeks away when I had it, and I was like, I'll be fine to eat, I'll be great. And no,
Oh,
I spent like, I think a week and a half, 2 weeks in the hospital recovering from my tonsils.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow. That's interesting. I've been something weird. My conditions my autoimmune disease is exacerbated by stress. So the holidays are, I'm always in the hospital for
yeah,
holidays. I'm
same.
never in there for very long, but and thankfully with the new medicine that I've been on, it's been a couple of years, but it's it's interesting that holidays are so much pressure anyway.
They are.
Oh. So because you're a person who really seems to live every day up to the most, like you really seem to not be one of those people that disregards the privileges that they have as a person who is out of the hospital now and is able to really do all the things mostly that you want to. Are there things, do you think that now you're a person that takes more risks, or are you still kind of a safe person?
I think within the last year I've grown a lot.
Uh-huh,
Um, because I honestly depended on nausea medicine and nausea
uh-huh,
shots.
uh-huh,
So thankfully my parents just, by the grace of God, I bought a house when I was young. Everybody said that's crazy that you would live 2 houses down from your parents. Um, I didn't know at the time I was going to get sick.
uh-huh.
But I was able to
Wow.
yeah, so I was able to stay in my own home.
Uh-huh,
And so, I think traveling bothers me. I get
uh-huh,
scared to travel without my family because,
uh-huh.
you know, I I do sometimes have to take a nausea shot. And
Right.
so and I don't drive after I take them because, they can make you tired, just all the things. And so I recently just went on a trip with my boyfriend. And I said I had went last year in May, I went to Kathy Hiller's summit. That was the first time I'd flown alone and traveled alone since I had been sick. Yeah. And so that was huge for me. And then um I went on a trip with my boyfriend. We went to Colorado for 4 days and I we can joke about it now and he'll tell you I had complete on anxiety, not only about being cold because I'm cold, it's part of my conditions. I get really cold. I don't like being cold.
Uh-huh.
And then we were going snow skiing and I'm like, I'm a water person, I'm a sun girl, but that's his happy place. And so um I think I panicked about everything I could panic about. My clothes, what am I gonna do? What if it's 11-hour drive. How am I gonna spend 11 hours in a car? And um but I was able to work my way through it and I think it was really fulfilling to me to be able to do it and then go ski. Um
Uh-oh.
so yeah, I think it's just over the past year I've really expanded myself and challenged myself to really live as far as like living in that scarcity
Mhm,
because I did that for so long of what if I get sick? Like if I'm driving my own car somewhere, it's a little bit different. If I get sick, like I can almost call my mom, please come get me. Like, I'm 41. My parents, I think so thankful for them, my grandparents, my family.
mhm,
Traveling with my family is a little bit different, but when you're with others and you don't have your car, don't have something,
mhm,
um I'm having to let go of the power, like letting go of control.
mhm.
So within the last year, I think I've overcome a lot to allow myself to really live like that, with letting go of things like that.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge. Because it is, that's the kind of thing that nobody talks about when you're a person who has medical conditions, or even if it doesn't look like on the outside, you
Right.
know, I need a place where I found that I couldn't stay. We have not a huge family, but our family, sometimes travels around also.
Yeah.
And I can't renting a house with someone else. Absolutely not. I have to have a place to it's almost like I'm powering down. Like often I'll
Yeah,
take a nap or I have to, I have like you're saying, I'll have to have shots and I don't need people around for that, or I don't want to,
right.
be sick or and nobody ever talks about how difficult those little pieces are.
Yeah, and I think some of it's because on the outside, we look like normal people.
Right, right.
We have some I call them gnarly scars. I used to be scared to show my scars,
Uh-huh.
but now I try to wear them with a badge of honor. Like, yes, I've been through this,
All right.
but also because we look like a normal person,
Mm-hmm.
the expectations are like, why is she doing this? And I'm the same way. I need the peace and quiet to myself
Right.
to come every day to come back to myself. I want to thank Jen for really digging into this with me. Just go check out her podcast, Resilient with Jen Chambers. She talks about fighting her chronic battle and just chronic illness altogether. The power of, at the end, how we talk about we often get judged because we just assume people are normal. And we need to break that. We need to stop that now. And the fears that we live with daily that no one has any idea are even going through our head, or the things that we have going that have happened to us and no one knows, because I talk about everybody has a story. But I also really want to thank Jen for getting into the part of what really truly lights my heart up, you guys. Doing the parties for the kids in the hospital, it lights my heart on fire. I encourage you, if you're here in Kansas, Little Moments Big Dream Celebration. We are an organization. We do multiple parties a week of all different types. We're doing multiple events. And actually, you don't even have to be in Kansas. We've just recently had some rocks shipped to us. They're hug rocks from Montana. So you can support us. You can donate to us gift cards. We have an Amazon wish list. You can find a way to get your kids, family involved. I just really wanted to share to you guys. I will link all this in the show notes, but I just really wanted to share with you guys what truly lights me up, and bringing the smiles to the kids' faces and getting to connect with the families is what truly lights me up. And Jen did a great job having me on her podcast and really bringing it out. And I thank Jen for this amazing episode. There's a part 2 of it. But for right now, here's part 1. And I thank Jen for letting me share it as my episode this week on my own podcast. I will leave her podcast in the show notes. I encourage you to go follow her. I encourage you to find something that lights you up and go start volunteering. Get your kids involved. They are never too young to start volunteering. And they are never too young to start bringing smiles to other children's faces. And we just never know what someone is going through. So, just be kind and let's make this world a better place. Get in touch with me if you want to get involved. If you have a business that would like to help stock our snack cart, we do that once a month. We give them credit, put their name up. So just reach out to me. I would love to connect and share so much more about what truly lights me up, y'all. And this is it, bringing joy to kids' faces. That is my mission, to keep it a community event. And I'm so grateful and so thankful for all the amazing volunteers I have. It is truly a community project, and I am so grateful for all of the families that we stay connected with. As always, go let those sparks fly. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. I hope today's story inspired you to embrace your own journey of growth and change. Remember, transformation isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review. If you found something that sparked you in this episode and may spark a friend, I encourage you to go share it with them. If you have your own story you would like to share, I would love to hear it, so please reach out to me. Until next time, friends, go have some fun and let those sparks fly.